born of the planet. With her we speak, her flesh we shape. Unto her promised land shall we one day return.
Barret Wallace was born on December 15, 1972, in a small coal mining village named Corel. Barret married a woman named Myrna who suffered from an unspecified illness. Because of the difficulty and severity of his wife's illness, Barret advocated cooperation with Shinra in building a Mako reactor north of his hometown Corel. While it sounded like a good idea to Barret, his childhood best friend, Dine, disagreed, but ultimately Barret would convince Dine that it would be in their best interests to work with Shinra. In May of 2003, Avalanche occupied Corel and the mine. At this point, Barret agreed to help the Turks sneak into the Mako reactor to reclaim it. Barret did not know Avalanche at the time, and not knowing he would join them later. In retaliation against Avalanche, Shinra destroyed the reactor and burned down Barret's hometown Corel. In the chaos, Barret and Dine returned to the town and were gunned down by Shinra troops, causing Dine to fall off a cliff, while Barret narrowly grabbed his hand. At this point, Scarlet, who was the head of weapons and development for Shinra, shot their hands, and Dine fell to his apparent doom, and Barret was left severely injured. In the aftermath, Barret found Dine's daughter, Marlene, and took her to raise her as his own, believing Dine had perished. Shortly after, artisan Old Man Sakaki made a prosthetic adapter for his arm that allowed Barret to attach weapons. Once Barret learned of Avalanche, he became a leader in the organization and went to Midgar to begin his campaign against Shinra. In Final Fantasy VII, Barret led the attack on the Mako reactor with Biggs, Wedge, Jessie, and Cloud. Due to his suspicions of Cloud's loyalty, he stayed by Cloud's side, disliking his indifference about the fate of the planet, and after the operation, was unsure if Cloud would stay with him. After the attack, Barret argued with Cloud, leading him to leave. But Tifa convinced Cloud to stay, and Cloud offered to help with the next operation for 3,000 gil. Barret was infuriated, as he was still saving money for Marlene's schooling, but he agreed to bring Cloud along for 2,000 gil. Shortly after the Mako Reactor 5 bombing, the group learned of Shinra's plans to send the Turks to destroy the Sector 7 pillar and prevent the fall of the plate. Barret, Biggs, Wedge, and Jessie fought to stop them, though only Barret reached the top of the pillar, where he was joined by Cloud and Tifa. But despite their efforts, the pillar was destroyed, and the plate was dropped on Sector 7. Barret was enraged at the loss, but was consoled by Tifa's assurance that Aerith Gainsborough, a woman she and Cloud had met in the slums, took Marlene to safety before the plate fell. Shortly after, Barret met with Elmira Gainsborough, Aerith's adoptive mother, whom Aerith had left Marlene with. Upon arrival, Barret had a heartfelt reunion with his daughter Marlene. But Elmira criticized him for leaving her alone. Barret struggled to explain his reasoning, rationalizing that the planet needs saving, especially for Marlene's sake. Vowing to rescue Aerith, he left Marlene in Elmira's care. Barret asked the two to flee Midgar as the city was no longer safe. In storming the Shinra building, Barret hastily suggested barging through the front door of the headquarters, after remarking the security looked pretty light, but Tifa strongly disagreed. After finding Aerith in captivity of Professor Ho-Ho, Barret was able to free her by shooting it open with his gun arm. The group then met Red 13, another one of Ho-Ho's specimens. Shortly after, the group was caught by the Turks and put into the Shinra prison cells. Upon awakening, they found their cells opened by Sephiroth. Not fully aware of what was going on, they were then confronted by the new president of Shinra, Rufus Shinra. Rufus attempted to apprehend them, but Barret and the others escaped on vehicles stolen from the Shinra exhibition rooms and fled Midgar. Cloud was chosen as the group's leader over Barret, which Barret grudgingly accepted. The pursuit of Sephiroth. In Calm, Cloud told the story of Sephiroth, the legendary soldier who defected Shinra and was thought to have perished, and recounted his own version of the Nibelheim incident and the events leading up to it. Barret interrupted his story at times, asking for more details, as Cloud's recollection was inconsistent. Afterward, Barret was frustrated and confused about aspects he felt made no sense, but was committed to stopping Sephiroth from taking the Promised Land. When the group arrived at North Corel, a town built by the survivors of Barret's former hometown, the townspeople began to vilify Barret. He divulged his past to the group, blaming himself for Corel's destruction at the hands of Shinra. After, the group rode the ropeway to the Gold Saucer amusement park, which towered over the Corel ruins. Aerith attempted to cheer him up, but failed. Barret angrily reminded them not to forget Sephiroth was the target, and ran off on his own. Later, Cloud and the others found many people gunned down at the battle square, with the survivors saying it was a man with a gun arm, leading them to assume it was Barret. Cloud's group was thrown into Corel prison. Barret found them but refused to talk at first. After being pressed, Barret divulged the rest of his past with Dyne, including how Scarlet scarred their arms, leading his to be replaced with a gun arm, and how the doctor told him another man had had the same operation on his opposite arm. They confronted Dyne, who was the prison leader, also the real culprit behind the Gold Saucer massacre. Traumatized by the loss of his family and home, Dyne believed he had nothing left to lose and wished to destroy the world. When Barret told Dyne that Marlene was alive, Dyne attacked him, saying he had to kill Marlene, so his wife would not be lonely in the afterlife. Barret prevailed, and Dyne, considering himself a lost cause, permitted Barret and the others to leave the prison, before throwing himself off a cliff to his death. After the party reclaimed the black materia, Cloud had the choice to hand it over to Barret for safekeeping. But Sephiroth fooled him into returning it to Cloud, by conjuring an image of Tifa begging Barret to help him. Cloud then passed the materia on to Sephiroth, allowing him to summon Meteor. This roused the weapons, colossal monsters created by the planet, and Barret and Tifa escaped on the Shinra airship Highwind with the company's executives, and were brought as captives to Junin. A week later, Barret escaped his public execution with the help of Kate Sith and Yuffie. They made their way to the Highwind to rendezvous with the rest of the group, minus Cloud, who had not been seen, since he gave the black materia to Sephiroth.
Tifa with her death-defying escape.
Tifa, traumatized by all the events, was unsure how to move forward without Cloud's guidance. But Barret urged her to be the tough girl he used to know. At this time, Barret also questioned Cloud's true identity, but nonetheless agreed to help find him. Eventually, they discovered Cloud in a hospital. Cloud was delirious and in no condition to lead the group. Barret wanted to be a leader, but considered himself unfit to lead the group, and instead elected Sid Highwind. The group aimed to stop Shinra from collecting huge materia from Mako reactors, so they could use it themselves to battle Sephiroth. One of the battles took place at the Corel reactor, with North Corel on the brink of destruction by Shinra. After saving the town, Barret urged the townspeople to stay strong, no matter how tough things got, drawing on their roots as coal miners. After Shinra destroyed Sephiroth's energy barrier from over the North Crater, Barret chose to keep fighting for Marlene's future. The group descended into the northern cave to defeat Sephiroth, and release Holy to save the planet from the meteor. After the events of Meteor, Barret, along with Cloud and Tifa, returned to Calm, where Barret was reunited with his daughter Marlene. Shortly after, they returned to the ruins of Midgar, destroyed in the battle between Holy and Meteor, where they helped construct a new city, called Edge. Barret suggested Tifa open a new bar, to help the depressed cope with their losses, and Tifa, struggling with her personal hardships, agreed to run it. Barret decided to leave Marlene in the care of Cloud and Tifa, while he went on his journey to find a new energy source to replace Mako. Later in his journey, Barret would eventually meet up again with Sid Highwind. Sid introduced Barret to his new airship, called Shara, as well as his new crew. Barret was excited, and had the idea of using the new airship technology to aid the people infected with Geostigma. Sid also introduced Barret to oil, a substance he and his team recently discovered. Having located an ideal, but dangerous monster at an area to construct an oil field in, Barret's hopes were elevated. He came to catharsis in being able to help with both his strength and insights, as the airship could be used to help those with Geostigma, to get aid when a cure would be found, and a new fuel source would help everyone. Barret has a limited appearance in the Final Fantasy VII film, Advent Children. The film is about the ongoing Geostigma crisis, which takes place approximately 1 year after Meteorfall. Barret returns to Edge City to help Cloud and his friends successfully fight Ultima Weapon.
You look after what? Marlene better be safe, huh?
Barret also has a brief appearance dealing with the Deepground conflict, appearing in Dirge of Cerberus, in which Barret, Cloud, and Tifa led a ground assault on Midgar against Deepground, providing Vincent with a map via phone. The three joined Sid, Reeve, Yuffie, and a young defected spy named Shelky to aid Vincent and destroy Omega.
And just in time.
Alright, that wraps it up for our gun-armed eco-terrorist friend, Barret Wallace. I hope you guys enjoyed the video as much as I enjoyed making it. If you did, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications. This not only helps the channel grow, but also keeps me motivated to make new videos. Anyways, thanks for watching and I'll see you soon.